My name is Thomas Caldwell, and I died on a Wednesday afternoon in April 16 years ago. I was 53 years old. What I saw during those minutes I was gone, what I was shown has never left me. And I need you to understand, I didn't want to see it. I didn't ask for it. But I was made to witness something that changed how I see every face I pass on the street. I'm telling you this now because I've carried it alone long enough. I wasn't a bad man. That's what I told myself for most of my life. I worked as an insurance adjuster in Hartford, Connecticut, married for 28 years, 2 daughters. I went to church on Easter and Christmas. I voted, I recycled. I never cheated on my taxes more than a little. I didn't hurt anyone. I was, by all reasonable standards, fine. My days were predictable. I'd wake up at 6:15, drink coffee while reading the news on my tablet, drive 40 minutes to the office, process claims, eat lunch at my desk, drive home, watch television with my wife, and go to bed by 10:30. I had a mortgage, I had a retirement plan, I had everything organized. I thought I had time. On that Wednesday, I was sitting in my car in the office parking lot, finishing a phone call with a client. It was a nothing conversation, something about a water damage claim. I remember feeling annoyed because the client kept interrupting me. I ended the call, set my phone down, and felt a tightness in my chest. Not pain, just tightness. I sat there for a moment thinking it was stress, maybe indigestion. I'd had a heavy breakfast. I rolled down the window, took a breath, and that's when the tightness became pressure. The kind that makes you realize your body is trying to tell you something urgent. I reached for my phone. I didn't make it. The pressure turned into something else, something that didn't hurt but felt wrong. My vision dimmed at the edges. I heard my own breathing, shallow and distant, like I was listening to someone else. My hand fell away from the phone. I felt my head rest against the seat. And then I felt nothing. No tunnel, no light. Just nothing. Until I opened my eyes and I wasn't in the car anymore. I was standing. That was the first thing I noticed. I was standing, and I didn't remember standing up. I looked down at my hands. They looked like my hands. I touched my chest. I felt solid, real. But the air, if you could call it air, felt different, thicker, heavier, not in a suffocating way, but in a way that made you aware of it. Like it was watching you. I was in a space that had no walls, no floor, no ceiling, but I could still feel where I was standing. It was dim, but not dark. The light didn't come from anywhere. It just was. A gray, even light that made everything visible but nothing clear. I turned around slowly, trying to understand where I was. That's when I saw them. People. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They were standing scattered across this endless, colorless plain, some close, some far. None of them were moving. They were just waiting. I recognized some of them, not all of them, but enough. There was a man I used to work with, Gerald, from accounting. He'd retired 5 years earlier. I didn't know he'd died. He was standing about 30 feet from me, staring straight ahead with this blank, hollow expression. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at anything. Further out, I saw a woman I'd gone to high school with, Laura. I hadn't thought about her in decades. She looked exactly as I remembered her, young, maybe 17, but her face was empty. No fear, no confusion, just waiting. And then I saw my Uncle Raymond. He died when I was 12. Heart attack. I remembered going to his funeral, remembered my mother crying, but there he was, standing among the others, wearing the same flannel shirt I remembered from childhood. He didn't see me, or if he did, he didn't care. I wanted to call out to him. I opened my mouth, but no sound came. My voice didn't work. Or maybe it did, and it just didn't matter here. I started walking toward him, slowly, carefully, like I was afraid the ground might give out. But as I got closer, I noticed something. There was a line. Not a visible line, nothing you could see, but a boundary. You could feel it, like a change in temperature. On one side, the people stood still, expressionless. On the other side, beyond them, was a deeper darkness. Not black, not shadow. Something else. Something that didn't want to be looked at. And the people on this side of the line, they were being pulled toward it. Not dragged, not forced. But pulled, slowly, inevitably, like gravity. One step at a time. They didn't resist. They didn't even seem aware of it. I watched Gerald take a step forward, then another. His face didn't change. He just moved, mechanically, toward that darker space. And once he crossed into it, I couldn't see him anymore. He was just gone. I felt my stomach turn. "Where are they going?" I said aloud, even though I didn't expect an answer. "To where they chose," a voice said behind me. I spun around. There was someone standing there now. I hadn't heard him approach. I hadn't seen him arrive. He was just there. He was tall, but not unusually so. He wore something simple, white, but not glowing. His face was calm, kind even. But his eyes held something I can't describe. Not judgment in the angry sense, just knowledge. Complete, unshakable knowledge. I knew who he was before he said a word. "I don't understand," I said, my voice shaking. "What is this? What's happening to them?" He looked past me, toward the line, toward the people slowly moving into the darkness. "They are going where their hearts led them," he said quietly. "This is not punishment. This is completion." "But they don't even know," I said, my voice rising. "They're not choosing. They chose," he said, his tone gentle but final. "Not in a moment, in a lifetime, in 1,000 small decisions, in what they loved, in what they ignored, in what they served." I stared at him, my mind racing. "But some of them went to church, some of them prayed. I know Gerald. He was a good man. He had a family. He loved his comfort more than he loved me," Jesus said. The words landed like stones. "He loved his reputation more than truth. He loved his security more than surrender. He said my name, but he never gave me his heart, and so his heart went where it always belonged." I felt my chest tighten again, but this time it wasn't physical. "What about her?" I pointed toward Laura. "She was just a kid when she died. She didn't have time to—" "She had time," he said. "She had enough." He turned to me then, fully, and I felt the weight of his gaze. "You want to argue for them," he said, "but you do not yet understand what you are seeing." "Then help me understand," I said, my voice breaking. "Please." He stepped closer, not threatening, not cold, but close enough that I could feel the presence radiating from him. "You see them as you knew them," he said, "but I see them as they truly were. I see every thought, every motive, every moment they turned their face away from light and called it wisdom, every time they heard my voice and chose silence, every time they felt conviction and chose comfort." He paused. "They did not want me. They wanted the idea of me. They wanted safety, forgiveness without repentance, heaven without holiness. They wanted to keep their lives and call it faith." I felt my throat tighten. "And you are no different." The words hit me like ice water. I started, but he raised a hand. "You think you are here to witness judgment," he said, "but you are here because you are part of it." He gestured toward the plain, toward the people. "Do you see yourself among them?" I looked. I scanned the faces, the figures. My heart was pounding. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to know. And then I saw him. Me. Standing maybe 50 feet away, facing the line, expressionless, just like the others. I felt my legs go weak. "No," I whispered. "No, that's not—" "That is who you were becoming," Jesus said. "That is where your heart was leading you." I couldn't breathe. I stared at my own face, blank and hollow, and I saw it clearly for the first time. I had spent 53 years building a life that looked good, that felt safe. I had checked boxes. I had said the right things when it mattered. I had avoided the big sins, the obvious ones. I had been decent, but I had never loved him. I had never surrendered. I had never given up control. I had wanted heaven, but I had wanted my life more. I didn't know. I said, my voice barely a whisper. I didn't understand. You did, he said, and there was no anger in his voice, just truth. You knew. You felt it. Every time you heard my name and felt that stirring in your chest, every time you saw someone living for me and you felt jealous or resistant or uncomfortable, every time you made a choice and knew deep down it was not what I would have chosen, you knew. I fell to my knees. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it. For the first time in my life, I meant it. He knelt beside me. I know, he said softly. And then, quietly, you are going back. I looked up, confused. Back? Yes, but not because you deserve it, because there is still time, because I am giving you what they did not have, a chance to see before the end. He placed a hand on my shoulder and I felt warmth flood through me. When you return, you will remember this. You will remember their faces, you will remember the line, and you will have a choice. What choice? I asked. To live for me truly, or to continue pretending. He stood. Most will not believe you. Some will mock you. Others will be afraid and turn away. But some will hear, and for them this moment will matter. I wanted to ask more. I wanted to understand everything. But before I could speak, the plane vanished. I woke up in a hospital bed 3 days later. They told me I'd been found slumped over in my car. A coworker had seen me and called 911. They said my heart had stopped for several minutes. They said I was lucky. I didn't feel lucky. I felt changed. At first, I didn't tell anyone. I couldn't find the words. How do you explain what I saw? How do you tell your wife that you met Jesus and he showed you that you were on your way to the same place as people you thought were lost? But eventually I had to. I started living differently. Not perfectly, not without struggle, but differently. I stopped going through the motions. I stopped pretending that showing up on Sunday was the same as surrender. I stopped caring about looking good and started caring about being real. Some people noticed, most didn't. My wife asked me once, a few months after I came home, if I was afraid of dying again. I told her, no, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of dying the way I was living. I think about those people often, Gerald, Laura, my Uncle Raymond. I think about the ones I didn't recognize. I think about the slow, silent pull toward the darkness. And I think about the one question I never got to ask. How many of them thought they were fine? How many of them would have said, if you asked them a week before they died, that they believed, that they were good, that they were saved? How many of them are still walking around right now in bodies that still breathe, thinking they have time? I don't know if you'll believe me. I don't know if this will mean anything to you. But I do know this. If you can hear my voice right now, you still have time. You still have a choice. But that line I saw, it's real. And one day you'll be standing in front of it. And on that day, the only thing that will matter is what you did with your heart. Not what you said, not what you looked like, what you loved. I wasn't sent back with comfort. I was sent back with knowledge, and that knowledge still weighs on me.